plan today, and this wasn't necessarily your plan, but I watched a couple of your squatting videos recently, and I'll tell you a quick story. When I was up training a few years ago with Mikhail Koklaev, Russian national champion, the famous lifter, Mikhail says to me, he says, "Stan," this would be the best I can do for a Russian accent. He says, "I watch your video many times, and every time I watch your video, I want to fix your fucking form." In thinking of that, when I watched your video on your squat, I thought there's a couple things I think that you could benefit from.
Okay.
And when I talked to you about it, you mentioned that you had some knee problems, and you had gone from a high bar to a little lower bar, and it helped your knees. I had the same issue. When I competed, I used a little bit of a higher bar.
7 seconds I counted. And he doesn't really falter at all.
I used a wider stance, more hip in the movement.
What's Rhino to do? It's 905, right? It's a big weight. And you can see the speed.
And I ended up with knee problems kind of throughout my career. And then after I was done competing, and I wanted my knees to feel good and I wanted to enjoy squatting, I went about finding a different form that worked better for me. And the one that I settled with is from Mark Ripetoe's starting strength form. And that uses a little bit of a lower bar and a little more of a break in the hips using a hip drive. Stopped trying to keep my chest up so high and actually started to put myself in a position to where I was loading more glutes and hips, and it put a great relief on my knees.
Well, I'm all about saving knees right now.
100%.
I've had knee problems up until the past year, and they're still achy sometimes.
That's great. Well, this has really helped me. I had chronic tendonitis for 10 years. I rehabbed the knees, and then when I went back to squatting with this new form, I got back up to squatting north of 600 pounds for reps with no knee sleeves and no wraps, and I have no knee pain.
Oh gosh.
So, and this is from somebody who had 10 years of chronic tendonitis.
So what age were you?
This was probably when I was 45 is when I stopped competing. And maybe it was only 2 years ago that I finally decided to start listening to my body and to get my knees healthy, because I wasn't enjoying squats. I was doing them because I wanted to do them because I think they're the best exercise, but they were constantly causing me recurring pain. So I fixed my form, I fixed my knees, and now I can squat pain-free. So I wanted to kind of try and give you this method and see if it works for you.
Sure.
High bar squats are fine. Keeping a upright torso is fine if that's what folks want to do. I want to show you another option that's very safe. It also helps to shorten the moment arm, so it gives you better leverage. It recruits more glutes and hips into the movement. One thing I noticed with your squat, your most recent heavy squat, I think you did a 570 or thereabouts recently. And you had knee wraps on. One thing I noticed, I'll stand back here far enough away so you can see, is that when you broke to do the squat, you broke with your knees first. You kept your chest and head high, you were looking up, and it caused a lot of instability in the midsection.
Yeah, I feel that.
Okay, well, if we get that bar a little lower, and we try and break a little more at the hips and load the glutes, and start putting the chest here and the head and eyes here, you'll find that you're in much greater control of that load. First, feet about shoulder width apart, toes turned slightly out, your typical squat stance. You were a little wider because you kind of had to be to stay in this position.
Yeah, I feel like this feels more comfortable on my knees.
That feels more comfortable on your knees,
Yeah.
okay. If you're keeping chest up and head up, yes, that feels more comfortable. That's the way I squatted when I competed.
Okay.
But you can bring your feet just a little bit closer, because now what we're going to do is we're not going to keep our chest up and our head up. We're going to break at the hips, and the way we're going to do that is hands together.
Yeah.
Drop down and put your elbows inside of your knees like this. And notice where your position is. Now, he's got this obvious slant to your back. You're looking here about 6 feet in front of you. Your chest and nipples are pointing to the ground. This is the position I want you to squat in. And when you come out of this position, the drive is going to be here. Push up towards me. You could do better, is that you want to push up here. There you go. Hips and shoulders come up together, just as you did there, but the drive is here. Go. Excellent.
Okay.
So sometimes I have to sit people down and have them just stand up out of a chair and notice my position. This is your strength position.
Oh yeah, I guess if you're
It's
sitting...
not here, right? You
Yeah.
couldn't even stand up if you tried to keep your chest up. You'd have to be way over your knees, way over your toes to do that.
Yeah.
But if you go here, that's the position. I want to get that hip drive a little better.
Okay.
Okay? So again, hands together, elbows inside the knees, got a good slant, and I'm going to cue you here. I want you to push here. There it is. You feel the difference?
Yeah.
Feel how powerful? Still try and stay center foot. I know you came a little on your knees, but that's okay. We'll try and keep the weight over center foot on your shoelaces. Drive here. Okay, I want you to look at the position. Feel how powerful that was? It's like a standing leg press.
Yeah, okay, that's it.
See how powerful
yeah,
that
yeah,
is?
it feels more like a leg press.
Feels more like a standing leg press.
Well, this is interesting too, what you said about...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
That's natural.
It's natural.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, and
Well,
you can sit down now, and I'll try and cue you here, but as you lean forward, I'll cue up. Now you're trying, the last thing, what you don't want to do is get your hips under your body and start pushing the knees forward and driving with your quads. I want you to push, loading the glutes. Again, here, up, there it is. Feel how powerful that is?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a standing leg press. So now we'll try and walk through the squat utilizing those same techniques.
Okay.
Notice with the bar position is that I thought you could have gotten at least another inch or two out of lowering that bar down onto your rear delts.
Okay.
If you feel the corner of your scapula out here, the bony portion of the scapula, when you lift your arm up, you'll feel the rear delt pushing on that. You want to be on the fleshy portion of the rear delt, not on the bony portion of the scapula.
Let me start. Well, probably do a little warm up first.
Yeah, a little more, and that's fine. If you have to release the hands like that, the fingers like that, some people due to flexibility may end up with 2 or 3 fingers. Put the pinky under. When you get that bar up on your back, you don't want your ribs up. You want ribs down. You're going to lock this down into position, your abs here. So people's tendency is to be ribs up, head up. Okay?
Yeah.
And that allows them to relax their abdominal wall, and their back starts to arch, and they tend to stick their butt out. Did you see LeBron James squat recently where he was sticking his butt out like this? If your abs are tight and your ribs are down, like somebody's punching you in the stomach, locked down, you can't arch your lower back. And so when you break at the hips, it's all to the glutes. There's no rounding of the lower back. And then I won't stand straight up. I'll be slightly pushed, leaning forward. See, I'm already leaning bent slightly forward. Some people try and stand straight up, and then it gets awkward.
Oh wow, you got a really low bar position.
So I'm on the rear delts there, pretty low bar. I'm going to keep this over center foot, and I'll exaggerate the break at the hips first, so I can load the glutes. Yes, you are going to break at the knees, but people who break at the knees first tend not to be able to get their butt out far enough. And so I want to break at the butt first until you get used to it. Break at the hips, keep that bar over center foot.
Yeah, you'll see if you stand next to him, he keeps that bar in a straight line for the entire movement.
Yeah, pretty
straight
And now I'm going to exaggerate the hip drive here, but this is what should be happening. When you get to the bottom, his hips should be pushing out and back. As the weight gets heavier, you'll be pushing the ass up and back.
Okay.
Ribs down, abdominals tight, staring at the floor. Yeah, wiggle in. There you go.
There you go.
Wiggle in, nice and
He's
tight.
wiggled.
Yep. You're going to stay staring right down here now this whole time. Ass out. Break at the hips. Nice. Good. Very powerful. Really powerful here.
And you'll
Nice. Very
keeping the head
powerful.
down, he's actually keeping his
It's a
spine
standing leg
neutral.
press.
He's not
Standing
bending
leg
his
press.
neck.
There you
He's
go.
actually keeping everything.
That's got to feel good. It looks
Luckily,
powerful.
the only fitness book I've ever read is Mark's
So do I ever
Starting Strength Volume
There
1
you
and
go.
2.
If anybody wants to pick one up, that's the one to get.
Dude, the Volume 2 is really good.
Yeah.
Wow,
It is.
okay.
Does it feel more powerful, like you own the hole there?
I don't think it works unless I lower the bar a little
You
bit more.
got to keep the bar down.
Because
nice
I don't
and tight
think, yeah,
and low.
I think if the bar was just a little bit higher, I would have definitely felt like I was
Over
being
the
thrown
toes.
forward.
As soon as that bar gets over your toes, this whole thing goes to shit.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to keep that bar low, and you got to keep it over your shoelaces, over
Yeah.
center foot. But I noticed the hip drive was really powerful.
Yeah.
Now, when you get into the hole here, I could jump on your back,
Uh-huh.
on top of your heaviest weight, and you would just sit there. Now you might not be able to squat it, but you certainly wouldn't fail like you would if you were doing this and somebody jumped on your back. You'd lose your coil. You'd lose your support.
All right, let's go up and wait a little.
Yeah.
This is the wild part, I think, in my opinion, about this whole endeavor of your squat is how much has changed in the last year.
Yeah.
And also how much stronger you can be at it.
Yeah.
Like his PR was, what was it, 550 in your garage when they turned off the power? He was trying to go for it. They turned off the power on accident, but that was like a big deal because you hadn't PR'd in a long while, and you've changed a lot, and you can change more.
Well, I just noticed that what's the potential top end? What's the weakest link? And whenever you're squatting and you're breaking and there's shake and there's the core isn't stable and the knees are already out over here, how much more weight can you add to that? You know, you're already having to wrap really tight just to take care of this knee problem. There's nothing this can do over time to let you load more weight on it. So that's the limiting factor.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
And your glutes are stupid strong, dude.
Yes.
My glutes are strong, yeah?
Load your ass. When you see a big squatter, you see big asses.
Right.
Big butts are good things.
Constantly outsource my squat confidence.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
From Tom and from other
It's
people.
fine. I had to start over from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, folks that know, I set a world record, 854 pounds with no knee wraps. I set a world record in the squat.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to squat like this without pain, and I had to totally relearn. I had to start with a lot lower weights and to build myself back up. But now I squat, I have absolutely no pain.
It's a cool feeling.
52 almost,
Wow.
and my body's regenerative, not degenerative. So if you allow it to do this correctly and load the muscles instead of the joints, then I think there's a lot more long term. You're a young man, you've got lots of years to do this.
There's some powerlifters like John Hack, for example, who do high bar really well, and due to their body type or other circumstances. But do you think if you didn't have pain using that style of squatting, would you have tried to adapt and do something different?
It really depends on the individual. It kind of depends on your limb lengths as well. Some people have short legs, long torso, and so things change based on your, what's that, anthropometry. Did I pronounce that? Anthropometric. Yeah, if I got all the right R's and O's in there.
But you think John's could fit well with low bar?
I think so. I think it's worth trying. It's like people try the conventional, they try the sumo. And with the squatting, try a few different things and see long term what the limiting factor is, what the weakest link is, and whether or not you can improve that. And now the last thing I concentrate on is keep that bar over center foot. Nice. Really powerful.
Wow.
See the hip drive out there?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. This is a great position because you feel so confident in the bottom. Most people lose confidence in the hole. That's where they feel like they're the weakest. That's where I feel like I'm the strongest.
Do you feel like you're the strongest in the hole?
When I get down, that's where I feel confident. That's where I'm powerful. It's like being coiled up in the bottom of a leg press. Whenever that thing comes down and your abs are pushed into your thighs, right? That's where you feel powerful, is right down there at the bottom of the movement. Anybody who's ever done a heavy leg press and has felt how that feels right down here when the abs are pushing into the thighs, that's kind of what I get out of the bottom of this movement.
I'm going to try to go for that feeling then, because if you feel that in a squat, that's insane.
Yeah.
The very bottom of a leg press.
Yeah.
You feel that way?
I feel that way. We'll do it again. I'll show you what I mean.
I've never felt that at the bottom of a squat.
You've never?
No, because we're too upright, and so there's a lot of movements here in your core and in your knees.
Yeah.
And it's like loading a spring. If it flips out like that, when you lose all that tension, I want to keep the tension on. I want to keep as much muscle groups as I can involved in the movement. Yeah, when I get in the bottom of that movement, my spring's compressed, my abs are in my thighs. I'm really powerful right here.
Did you just put on Olympic shoes?
These have a solid foot pad, so they're just like wood, I think, underneath there.
Are they elevated?
It's only a ½ inch.
Oh.
Yeah, it's slightly elevated. It looks more than it is.
Okay.
Center foot. Stay on that center foot. Nice.
There you go.
That looked really powerful. Nice. Boy, that looks strong. I don't see any wiggle in the midsection anymore.
Oh, that's really strong.
Does it look better?
I really like it, yeah.
Looks solid.
Okay, wait. Those last 3 things everyone said, I feel like I just walked out of a dressing room wearing something.
Yeah.
That looks
That
solid.
looks
Yeah.
solid. It's really good. I like that. That looks good on you.
Yeah, you don't have to lose 10 pounds for the wedding. It's
You
okay.
just came.
Dude. Is there a difference between a squat that's better for maximum poundages versus carryover into athletics, or are they the same thing?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
I know I've even said myself in the past that a high bar squat gives more quad. If your knees bend, you're working your quads.
Yeah.
So the low bar squat actually recruits more total muscle
Yeah.
in the movement. So I think it's probably preferable if you consider all the pluses and minuses in terms of the knees,
Yeah.
loading the glutes, having a more stable core. I think the low bar is preferable. That's not to say that you couldn't high bar and get great results as well. It's probably minimal difference, but for me, the big difference was the potential injury problem.
Okay.
And this allowed me to load the muscles instead of the joints.
So, in general, a high bar, what you're saying, and a lot of people are saying, you should only high bar if you're focused on Olympic weightlifting. Or if it's generalized, but
I think that everybody should squat.
yeah.
And if you enjoy the high bar and it feels good for you, then do the high bar. But I don't think that the low bar is any less beneficial for specific sports performance. And I would contend that it's even a little better. I think you recruit more muscles and potentially make those muscles stronger.
Yeah.
And then use, obviously, sports specific
In terms of John getting used to the movement, what would you suggest? Just
reps. Just reps and reps and reps. Just keep hitting your 5s and 5s and 5s, and it's just time under the bar. You know, it's neuromuscular education.
You mean
right?
500 or 5 reps?
5 reps. Yeah.
500.
You know, anybody who starts a new movement, you'll adapt really quickly because it's just a slight modification of a squat.
Yeah.
But your body learns any new movement over time through repetition, and you get this dramatic increase in strength, which isn't necessarily, what isn't at all, correlated to muscle hypertrophy. It's about neuromuscular education.
Okay. Is my grip good?
I like it. Now, if you have any problem with flexibility, you can free up the pinky and allow you to rotate a little more. It's up to you. It just has to do with wrist flexibility. Nice. Nice. Really nice.
Look at
I
that.
like that.
I feel like I'm balancing.
Yeah, and that's
I'm
fine.
still learning the balance of it, but
That's fine.
there's a couple reps in there, like the last one.
Kind of on your heels.
It was
a
all
little
my
bit.
butt. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's where I want it.
Yeah.
There was like in the one of the reps, I was like, okay, I'm falling forward.
If that bar gets over your toes, that's
Yeah.
a problem. So just keep it. Remember to keep that bar over your shoelaces, center foot, center foot, center foot the whole time.
Why can't that be on the heels?
When you initiate that press out of the hole, there may be a little rock back,
Mhm.
but generally speaking, you want to keep that weight over center foot. You certainly don't want your toes coming up.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Okay, don't get yourself positioned like that.
All right.
But I thought that looked great. I just feel like you own the hole.
Nice.
Is what I like to see, is that you're powerful in the bottom of the movement. And it doesn't feel like if I put another 100 pounds on that you would you know, your knees
Yeah.
would shoot out or
Blow
your waist
up.
would- yeah,
Yeah.
just holding that weight. That looked good.
How are your knees?
They're fine. Yeah.
That's the goal long term. And again, you know, the first goal is how does it feel? Does it feel powerful, confident? You know, can you build on this? And that's what's most important to me. When I watched your max squat, I saw that that's probably going to be about as far as you can go. And you've started to crank knee wraps on really tight to compensate for that weak link.
Uh-huh.
That shouldn't be the weak link.
Okay.
The knees should never be the weak link. The ass should be the weak link because we can build that over time. I can't build your knees over time.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like it, you don't have to do it, but I just wanted to throw it your way.
All right. I'll
See
try
how
it
it
out. I'll
feels.
wear it for a little while. See
Good.
how I like
Awesome.
it.